your skin, that shit is popping, girl. Body on 10, damn, you got it, girl. You gotta boss up. Getting them checks, living your best. Racks up. Oh, keep walking with confidence. Effortlessly, you let them know who is in command. You just that and more. Don't forget it. God worked hard on you for sure. Lexus, Exodus. Shout out to my exes.
Hey boos, hey! Happy Halloween, folks! It's Halloween. I'm in a very festive mood. If you guys can't tell, I'm super excited about the shenanigans and festivities this evening. I will be passing out candy as a Little Mermaid in honor of the first Black Ariel, played by Halle Bailey. We're gonna have a good time. I appreciate you guys hanging out with me during this Halloween marathon. It was such a blast. I especially enjoyed hanging out with you ladies yesterday during our watch party as we watched The Invitation and had a good okiki. We had a great time. If you guys missed it, my apologies, but we will do additional watch parties as the holidays approach. Thinking about doing a Christmas one, a New Year's one, Thanksgiving one, and so on. So keep a lookout for those. It is always a good time when the diamonds get together and get to hang out and have fun and shoot the shit. So I really enjoyed you guys. I really enjoyed this. So let's get to it. This is another installment of my series called the Blackistan Zoo, where we profile the dusty derelicts, crazy creatures, and animals in Blackistan. Tonight, I want to talk about our elders and how it's the blind leading the blind. And shout out to my bestie Brooke in the Patreon who submitted this video concept, and it has me triggered, y'all. So first off, what inspired this video is she shared this problematic post about the views of the late great author Toni Morrison that totally broke my heart. And I did not want to do this, but we'll get into it in just a moment. I thought this was a great video suggestion because I truly believe that Toni's sentiments were not uncommon. And in fact, all of the elders in my family engaged in struggle of, they all believed in ride or die. A lot of them were staunch Christians and believed in staying married at all costs, regardless of how bad the circumstances were. And as a result, many of them indoctrinated the younger Black women in my family to do the same. So I want to talk about how this toxic ideology is very common within the women in Blackistan and how many of us were misguided, and no wonder collectively Black women experience so many issues when dating and when in relationships because our elders have misled us, and it's the blind leading the blind. I want to get into the old interview with Toni Morrison that inspired this video concept that Brooke shared. So let's pull this up. And what this is a tweet from a journalist. And she says, I argued fiercely with Toni Morrison about the position she took in this interview and time. As I attempt as a 71-year-old to parent adolescents, I want to revisit those conversations when I insisted she was wrong. Okay. So she has the manuscript of the interview. Okay. And so she says to Toni, this leads to the problem of the depressingly large number of single parent homes and the crisis in unwed teenage pregnancies. Do you see a way out of that set of worsening circumstances and statistics? Toni responds and says, well, neither of those things seem to be a debility. Okay. Y'all just wait. Okay. I don't think a female running a house is a problem, a broken family. It's perceived as one because of the notion that a head is a man. Two parents can't raise a child any more than one. She says you need a whole community, everybody to raise a child. The notion that the head is the one who brings in the most money is a patriarchal notion. That a woman, and I have raised two children alone, is somehow lesser than a male head, or that I am incomplete without the male. This is not true. And the little nuclear family is a paradigm that just doesn't work.
It doesn't work for white people or for Black people. Why we're hanging on to it, I don't know. It isolates people into little units. People need a larger unit. Child, I'm going to keep going. And so the interview follows up and says, in teenage pregnancies, Toni says, everybody's grandmother was a teenager when they got pregnant. Whether they were 15 or 16, they ran a house, a farm, and they went to work. They raised their children. In the interview, was taken aback. She's like, what? So she says, but everybody's grandmother didn't have the potential for living a different kind of life. These teenagers, 16, 15, haven't had time to find out if they have special abilities, talents. They're babies having babies. Toni doubles down and she says, the child's not going to hurt them. Of course, it's absolutely time consuming, but who cares about the schedule? What is this business that you have to finish school at 18? They're not babies. We have decided that puberty extends to what, 30? Child. Y'all bear with me. There's more. When do people stop being kids? Toni says. The body is made to have babies. That's why they are in a position to do it. Nature wants it done then, when the body can handle it, not after 40, when the income can handle it. So the journalist is like, okay. She's stunned. So she follows up and she says, you don't feel that these girls will never know whether they could have been teachers or whatever? Toni says they can be teachers. They can be brain surgeons. We have to help them become brain surgeons. That's my job. I want to take them all in my arms and say, your baby is beautiful and so are you. And honey, you can do it. And when you do be a brain surgeon, call me. I will take care of your baby. That's the attitude you have to have about human life. I don't think anybody cares about unwed mothers unless they're Black or poor. The question is not morality. The question is money. That's why we're upset about it. We don't care about whether they have babies or not. So the journalist is just still shocked. The nigga is too stunned to speak. Like that TikTok says, Lord Jesus, I feel for her. So she says, how do you break the cycles of poverty then? You can't just hand out money. And Toni responds and says, why not? Everybody gets everything handed to them. The rich get it handed. They inherit it. I don't mean just inheritance of money. I mean what people take for granted among the middle and upper class, which is nepotism, the good old boy network. That's the shared beauty of class. Child. Oh, my Lord. I don't even know where to start with this. This is so much to unpack. Okay. So Toni Morrison is on record saying the nuclear family doesn't work. She also says everybody was a teen parent. They can make it work. All of our grandparents were 15 and 16, and they ended up fine. And she further attempts to justify this ideology by saying teenage bodies are equipped for pregnancy. They shouldn't be waiting until they're 30 when they have money. they don't have to wait till they finish school. OMG. Y'all, like, I feel like I'm in the Twilight Zone. And when I tell y'all, I was heartbroken when I saw this post. For those of you who don't know, I'm a classically trained journalist. So I loved reading and writing. And I was a big fan of Toni. When I was younger, I looked up to Toni Morrison and to other Black women writers like her because they were who I aspired to be. And add to that, she's from the same city that I'm from. So she was my idol. This is why they say never meet your idols because you're going to be disappointed. I was heartbroken to hear such idiotic ideology and rhetoric spewed from such a remarkable woman. Like literally, these are words spoken by the brilliant, critically acclaimed, Nobel Peace Prize winning Black woman author, Toni Morrison. And this is an old interview, but at the time, she was almost 60 years old when she was spewing this mess. So we can't chalk it up and say, oh, she was young, she was naive. No, she was grown. And she should have known better, saying a problematic mess like this. And she goes on to say that teen mothers can be teachers. They can even be brain surgeons as long as the older women help and babysit their kids. Like, really? And I'm really trying to be tactful here. I'm not trying to be disrespectful because this woman is no longer here. She's also very phenomenal and her accomplishments are remarkable. And I have so much respect for her. But I am going to call a thing a thing. So yeah, we don't live in a storybook novel, Auntie. We don't live in one of your storybook fantasies where you can F up as much as you want and make life-altering, life-changing mistakes, like become a teen mother and have an unplanned pregnancy. And then, like the fairy tales, you just end up miraculously living happily ever after. That's not how life works. Yes, it's possible for a Black single teen mother to become a brain surgeon, but is that likely? Not at all. The odds of that happening are slim to none, no matter how much support she has. Like, you might as well play the lottery while you're at it, if that's your plan. So instead of normalizing teen pregnancy and teaching Black girls that it's okay to have children while you're a child, because you'll somehow be okay. Our grandmothers were fine. They did it. What we should have been doing back then is teaching younger girls how to avoid teen pregnancy altogether. And we should be warning them of how difficult and taxing that is so they learn from our mistakes. Okay? This is a mess. And she talked about in this interview about how the nuclear familial unit isn't important and it's some patriarchal type of idea. Like, women can lead families just fine without men. Even though studies show over and over, even way back when, that those who don't come from two-parent homes struggle. They struggle financially and emotionally. They don't fare well. They just don't. I mean, it takes two to create a child for a reason. Children need their mother and father to be active in their lives. They need that yin and yang to thrive. So they need the balance of that masculine, assertive, paternal energy from their dad as much as they need the maternal, loving, feminine energy from their mothers. And let's not even get into that. Let's just look at the logistics of things. Families do better financially when both parents are present. And this reporter mentions this and says, what about the financial implications of this? And Toni's response is that the government should just be giving teen mothers money because everybody else get handouts, and that'll resolve the problem. Y'all, again, I'm trying to be as tactful and as respectful as I can. I have a tremendous amount of respect for this Black woman and her work, but this is fucked up. And this is what I mean when I say that we were failed by our elders, and this was the blind leading the blind. And it's like, no wonder when we look at things at a macro level, Black women are in a very poor state today. No wonder we are okay signing up to have unplanned pregnancies and to live these lifetimes of impoverishment and to be baby mamas and to get pumped and dumped and to sign up for these lives full of struggle and strife. Because this is who raised us. This is who raised us. Toni is one of our best and brightest. I looked up to this woman. This is who was guiding us. It was the blind leading the blind. Okay. I want to keep going, and I want to look at some more elders in the community with problematic ideology that they undoubtedly passed down to younger generations of Black women and girls. So let's talk about Whoopi Goldberg next. And first off, I want to talk about how years ago she made comments on Ray Rice, that football player who knocked out his girlfriend, and defended his actions, saying that she shouldn't have hit him first. Ciao. So let's watch this and then we'll talk through.
Later today, because our friend Stephen A. Smith, he's going to be addressing some comments that he made on Friday regarding NFL player Ray Rice's 2-game suspension for allegedly knocking out his fiancée.
Good morning. On Friday, speaking right here on First Take on the subject of domestic violence, I made what can only amount to the most egregious error of my career. While elaborating on thoughts concerning the NFL's ruling versus Ray Rice, following a domestic dispute with his then fiancée, I ventured beyond the scope of our discussion by alluding to a woman's role in such heinous matters, going so far as to use the word provoke in my diatribe. My words came across that it is somehow a woman's fault. This was not my intent. It is not what I was trying to say. Yet the failure to clearly articulate something different lies squarely on my shoulders.
Now, Smith basically said no man should ever hit a woman, but a woman should learn how to avoid provoking a man's anger. Now, some people are outraged, and let me just point out that the comment that he made is based on what the young lady said She did. Let me just make that clear to y'all. She said I hit him, and I believe that's what Stephen is pointing. I just want to say,
for a man,
yes,
hitting a woman unless his life is in jeopardy.
No, I'm sorry.
He knocked her out. He knocked her out.
Listen,
cold.
I'm sorry. If you hit somebody, you cannot be sure you are not going to get hit back. I don't because no. Oh yes, baby. Listen, if you're a little boy, I'm sorry. If you're a little boy. And you grow up with a sister, and your mother says, no, you can never hit her. And she's like this, and she's hitting you all the time. You say, mommy. Well, you know what? I'm sorry. If you hit her, no. You have to teach women. You have to teach women. Do not put your hands on anybody. Do not. Let me just finish my point. Because I know I'm going to catch a lot of hell, and I don't care. But you have to teach women. Do not live with this idea that men have the chivalry thing still with them.
Right.
Don't assume that that's still in place.
Right.
So don't be surprised if you hit a man and he hits you back. You don't hit. Listen, I'm sorry. You hit somebody, they hit you back. Don't be surprised.
Hey, you guys, thank you so much for listening to that. If you enjoyed this snippet, please check out the full video on the Patreon. You can find the link in the comments below. See you guys. Bye.